All right. Well, here we are. A couple of weeks removed, but we're now at show 31. Old school 31. Dahlby, what's happening, my friend?
Well, we missed last week, but let's talk a little bit about Southern Hills. I was at Southern Hills for the week, and I'll tell you, Bernie, from a standpoint of a golf club that I think should host major championships or could host major championship, has hosted major championships. Southern Hills is a good location. I know the PGA of America was worried a little bit, or people maybe were worried more than the PGA of America about hosting a PGA championship early in the season for Tulsa, but the golf course was in really good shape. I think you probably heard about what they do to the greens. They have a system on the greens where if it's cold, they can warm them up. And in the summer, when it's humid and hot, they can cool them off. I think it's water that runs underneath the greens. And so it was interesting because the first few days of during practice round and the first couple of days, it was warm. And I think the first day Troy was playing a practice round, Troy Merritt, and he reaches in the hole to pull his ball out. And he's like, it's cold. What the heck? And he said, put your hand in there. And yeah, and I actually did. I put my hand in the cup and you could feel that it was cooler than the air above. And so they had this system where it keeps the greens regulated. And I saw pictures of snow all over Tulsa, and those greens sit perfectly. They're perfectly green, and there's no snow on them. So it's pretty cool what technology can do for a golf course. And you know, that the greens were perfect. They ran very, very quick. The golf course, like I said, was in good shape. You know, you worry about the conditions in a location early. Next year it's at Oak Hill in Rochester, New York. Obviously that's a little further north. So we'll see how they do at Oak Hill.
For the when you watch the I guess I'm going to ask, so the greens were very undulated and had severe drop-offs and things like that. Is that too severe, Steve? I mean, and I'll just I mean, there was guys that hit putts that, I mean, you just shook your head and went, wait, what? He's that far short or that far right? Are they too severe?
No, I think very much like Augusta National. I don't think Augusta National's greens are too severe, and you wouldn't say that Augusta National's greens are too severe. And actually, what they did at Southern Hills, I think they actually kept the speed of the greens down just a little bit because they didn't want to sort of lose the greens like, you know, maybe in a US Open at Oakmont a few years ago. So no, I don't think so. I think the greens are undulating. The fairways there are undulating. It's Southern Hills for a reason. It sits up on the hills. You know, the first tee, it's a great view. The first tee, you're going this way, 10 is going this way. But as you stand on that first tee, you are looking at downtown Tulsa, and you are looking down to the downtown area. And then on the way, there's a beautiful neighborhood called Midtown. Obviously, that's halfway, and then Southern Hills is up the hill. So everything slopes to downtown. It is a severe slope, and you've just got to realize that. But I don't think in you know, the greens are challenging, but these are the best players in the world. They should be able to handle playing 6 feet of break on a particular putt.
Before we talk about something else, let's get right to the point. 18th hole, Southern Hills, Mito Pereira, who I had points on, stands on the tee with a one-shot lead. I've never caddied in a major championship where I had my player on the lead on the 18th hole. I have had players on Champions Tour events, web.com, whatever, with leads on the 18th hole. Did the caddy fuck up? Did the player get too aggressive? Talk to me about the strategy. And I know the 18th hole at Southern Hills is one of the toughest holes on the golf course. And I know you can come to the 18th hole with a one-shot lead and have the strategy of worst case scenario, I make bogey, I'm in a playoff. Worst case scenario, I hit it in the water, make double bogey, and don't make the playoff. Your thoughts and opinions on what transpired from the tee shot all the way through Mito Pereira making double bogey?
Well, I think what you saw was just on that backside, and then it is difficult coming in there. But you know, they played 17 up for drama. You know, made it a drivable par four for Saturday and Sunday. They pushed up hole 13 from the first 2 days. 13 was a long par five, and then they moved it a tee forward. The back tee, I think it was over 110 yards difference. The first 2 days that you would putt out on 12 and then actually like take a left off of 12 green and then basically hit over 12 green to the fairway. On Saturday and Sunday, you took a right after you played 12 and you know, 110 yards difference. So you bring in the possibility of different scoring, but I think what you saw was with the lead, he probably played a little bit differently than he had most of the tournament. And then you know, it was sad to see, but I think it's major championship pressure. And you know, if Johnny Miller was still broadcasting, he would have used the word, and I think it was appropriate. He would have said he choked, and I think that's what happened. I think, you know, whether the caddy choked, but I mean, the player choked, and hopefully he will recover from that. That's a tough one. But you know, players do mess up. They get nervous, and things happen, and certainly it was, you know, an ugly swing and an ugly shot, and really a sad way to see him finish the golf tournament.
Because his swing, and I hate the word choke, and the reason I hate it is because I grew up with a PGA professional and my father who hated the word choke, and he always drilled it in me. You didn't choke, you just didn't have the ability to finish. And I've always lived with that. Now, on that swing on 18, it was don't go right, don't go right, don't go right. It's going right. What do we do now? I mean, basically, I mean, and you know that being an instructor for as many years as you have, that's what the swing looked like. Now, from a caddy's perspective, and I don't know, I wasn't there. It was always hard for me to pull R.W. Eakes off a shot. It was always, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If he wanted to hit it, he was gonna hit it. And the responsibility after where he hit it sometimes was my fault because I didn't call him off the shot. But I could never have called him off the shot. Now, later in my life, as I got older and I learned, you know, more about the game and things like that, I could take certain players off a particular shot and be like, let's stop for a second. Let's talk about this. You didn't see any talking about that on 18. He took the driver, hit it too far right, went in the water, and then all of a sudden he's in a quandary. He's screwed. And then when he hits it left of the green, and then he didn't even go up and really look at the angle of what could happen on his fourth shot. And it went over the green because the greens are so fast and everything. And then he makes 6. I mean, and I'll give the guy credit. He finished 7th this week at or 7th or 8th this week at Colonial, but he kind of laughed about it at the end of the round and with the interview with Amanda Renner, not Amanda Balionis, it's Amanda Renner, and like, oh yeah, it is what it is. I just you know, it's like John Vandevelde that year at the British Open, Dahlby, when he, you know, made a mess of the 18th hole at the British Open, and you know, end up going to the playoff and losing. But there's got to be. It's just you don't stand on the 18th tee at a major championship trying to make bogey to get in a playoff. I get it. I totally understand. but there's got to be, left is way better than right. That's my whole point.
Yeah, no, and left, way left is not good, but way left, you will more than likely make bogey at worst.
Yeah.
And when you talk about caddy player relationships, and I don't know the caddy player relationship there. When you look at Justin Thomas, who won the tournament, he's got bones on the bag, right? And so that's a guy that is so well respected, is so experienced at that situation. He wouldn't get ahead of himself. You look at some of the things. I watched a video today of the two of them working together, and the discussions they have, and it's not like Spieth and Michael Greller where it's constant chatter, but it's just like, the wind. It's wait for the wind to lay down before you hit the shot, because if you hit this shot, you want the wind to lay down. If you're going to play it with the wind, you've got to hit a different shot. I think in the case, if it was reversed, I think Bones may have been more involved in the tee shot. But there is, there's only a certain few caddies that probably are ready to do that, and maybe are with the player accepting that too. Like you're talking about with RW, maybe you might have been ready to get in there, or maybe in a situation you weren't, but RW was more than, sounds like more often than not, or maybe ever, not ready to listen to what you had to say. It was more reaction after the shot to maybe, oh, you should have came in there. It's too bad. And there were different things he could have done, different shots he could have tried to hit. I mean, you might have even played, if you played 3-wood, and you could play 3-wood, and it kind of takes the water out. It would have been a longer shot in, but you could have played it that way. It just, it was a bad swing at the worst time, and it cost him a chance. And for him to bounce back this week, is a very good sign. And I think he did a good job of, like you said, maybe laughing it off. That might be what a sports psychologist says. You just want to have the chance to try to do it again. But it's difficult. So, but it's a tough place to be. Unfortunately, I think that's kind of his first time in that spot. And that happens a lot of times. The first time in that spot, it does happen. Things go wrong, and then you hopefully learn from it, and then you go on to hopefully he has a chance to do it again some year, and he pulls it off.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to be there. He can really play. He can really, and that. Joaquin Neiman knows that. People from Chile know that. He's not just some guy that just happened to show up at the PGA Championship. Yeah, he was 300-1, but he is that good, and he bounced back. And I whether it was, the demeanor that he has of it happened, it is what it is. I look back and I look at that moment, and I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't pull RW off that shot. He hits it. Well, back in the day, RW hit it as far as anybody. So maybe we are hitting 3-wood. I don't know. Billy Judah, we're going to aim it down the left-hand side and hope it cuts back a little bit and be in play. But it was just hard. It was just hard to watch. And it had nothing to do with the money. Yes, and I did have money on him to win. I don't points, but it was just hard for me to watch the way that ended, because I think he should have had an opportunity to be in the playoff, and I wish he would have hit a better third shot. I wish he would have hit a better fourth shot. I just wish he would have looked at everything, made bogey, got in the playoff, and figured it out. And I'm not taking anything away from Justin Thomas. I'm not taking anything away from Will Zalatoris. I mean, Justin Thomas played his ass off coming down the stretch, but here's a guy that has no fear because he's so good. He's won that tournament before. That's his only major he's won, but he's won that before. And you look at the shot he hit on 18. It was balls to the wall. We're going right at it. Whatever happens, happens, because he doesn't care about money. Justin Thomas could care less about money. It was just balls to the wall, hit a great shot, hit a good putt, just didn't go in. But I don't know. I feel bad for Mito.
Yeah, and then in different situations. I mean, Thomas is chasing, so it's obviously a little easier to chase sometimes than to try to hang on and to try to hang on for that long. When you have a lead and you have to sleep on it. There's a lot of things that and what I say. So many times, Bernie, that the guy that has to sleep on the lead is going to have it may win the tournament. More often than not, I don't think that player is going to win the tournament. But even if they do win the tournament, there's always going to be a challenge. So there's always stress. There's always stress to be sleeping on that lead. And then unless you're Tiger Woods, back in the heyday, the chances are there's going to be some stress in your round.
Before we get to this week at Colonial, I want to backtrack on something we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And a lot of people that watch this show that know me personally know that I don't read very much. And I purchased this book. I have not opened it up yet. It came today. Give me what you hear or what you heard from Southern Hills about Phil and what you've heard about the Live Tour, who was supposed to announce the field for the first upcoming event in England 3 days ago and still has not announced the field.
Yeah. And, Bernie, to be honest, other than what I saw on interviews about, maybe early in the week, they asked John Rahm, they asked a couple guys what they thought. I really didn't hear anything. There wasn't much discussion about that. I think the guys were more just focused on what they're doing. And I don't think that the guys right now are too interested in publicly talking about it, and even privately among themselves. It just didn't hear very much. I think there was more just kind of prep going on. And Troy's a guy that played 9 holes on Tuesday, played 9 holes on Wednesday. We were kind of out late, kind of out early, so I might have just missed that. But I did not hear very much. And being out late on Tuesday and then out early Wednesday, I did watch some Golf Channel and was watching some of the interviews. But no, I don't think there was much discussion. And I think it'll be interesting to see if the field was supposed to be announced, like you said, Bernie, and it's not been announced. That's probably not a good sign.
Good sign as far as what?
Not a good sign for that tour. I'm just saying not a good sign for that situation. If you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, that's probably not a good sign. That's all I'm saying.
Because Richard Bland, remember the guy that led the U.S. Open last year? He came out this week and said, "I'm playing, and I'm waiting, and I'll take all the punishment and penalties that happens." And the European tour, he had a discussion with the European tour, and they're like, "You got to do what you want to do." We haven't decided what we're going to do yet. The PGA Tour hasn't said exactly what they're going to do yet. We haven't seen the field yet. In my day job, and nobody needs to know what I do at my day job. I'm not a male stripper, in case anybody are asking like that. But people ask me my thoughts, and I'm very blunt about it. And that Dahlby and the shoe, part of our show. We'll talk to him later about it. I hope Jay Monahan comes down and brings the hammer and says, "You know what? If you want to go there, go. If you don't want to, if you think that it's better over there, then go. You don't have to play over here." And there's people, that probably, and Bland's, he's turning 50 soon. And I'm using his example because he's the only person that's come out and said, I'm playing this for sure. Nobody else has come out officially and said, I'm playing. Whether and you and I, the casual golf fan, people know some of the names that have come out, whether it's Rose, Westwood, Stenson, whatever. But in a Richard Bland story, you know what? You're going to be 50 years old if you can't play on the Champions Tour, but you're going to because you're going to get barred, and you can go make, I don't know, $1 million in 5-6 weeks, and now be able to financially support your family, your grandkids, or whatever you might have. I get that part. Everybody else that is younger than 40 or something that's not as successful as a Westwood, Rose, Stenson, I don't get it, because I think all of us, competition drives us. Whether it's me playing in the Tuesday match against, Canada Dave or Adam Blanker, competition drives us, and I want to beat them. They want to beat me. But if you're going to play against, somebody else that's not in your league or not even, close to you, and you're only playing for the money, I think it sucks.
Well, and I think I'd agree with that. And I think, for a guy like Richard Bland, who, we didn't really, I mean, obviously he's a journeyman European Tour player. He did, show up at the US Open last year and was leading after a couple days, and maybe we got to know his name a little bit more. But when you look at his situation, he is that guy that, like you said, that if he can get some kind of a huge bonus right off the bat, and you said $1 million, but let's say they're going to give him more to come and play, maybe it's a consideration. I think from the pure competition standpoint, no. What I would ask Shu is when you're talking about any other sport, if the commissioner or the NFL, the MLB, whatever, they come out and they say we're going to do something by this date, and then they don't do something, and it still hasn't been announced. Shu, how does that look for that respective sport?
We just saw it happen, right? With the MLB and their lockout. There was, we're going to talk on this day. Hopefully we'll have something done. And then the longer in the day that you go without hearing anything, one of two thoughts enters your mind. They're close. They're getting close to a deal. That's why they're not saying anything, or it's not going very well and they're trying to figure out how best to phrase this. And yeah, I'll give you a very extreme example. The NFL draft is every year at a certain day. If we didn't know if the commissioner goes, yeah, we got to delay the draft by an hour. Well, wait a minute. We're delaying the draft by an hour? Why are we doing that? Of course, in all of these leagues, if something like that were to happen, and I'm using very extreme examples here, but of course that would raise eyebrows. Of course that would make people wonder what's going on. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't think this is raising eyebrows that the field hasn't been listed. This is just me, casual golf fan. I play that role on the show. I think people are over it. I think people don't care anymore. I think people have just moved on. And honestly, the thing that was tethering them to the drama of that tour was Phil. And Phil's not in the news right now. We're not talking about Phil. We're not talking about all of that stuff anymore. So I think people have moved on. Now, yeah, you had the craziness of the PGA Championship, which I think from a golf perspective is what you want to focus on. And I said this 2 weeks ago on the show. That's what I'd like to focus on. I'd like to focus on those fun things. But I think people are just over it. I think people just don't care anymore.
Yeah, and I think I think maybe that's kind of what I wasn't hearing much at the PGA Championship in respect to that. That may have been, just like you said, a little bit of, it was yesterday's news, and we'll see. Bernie, when things do get announced, or if they do play, we'll see who's in the field and what's happening. But I would tend to say, yeah, I'd agree a little bit with Shu there and just say, it's now the news was a few weeks ago, and now we'll just kind of see what happens. And there's other stuff going on. So yeah, I think that's where we're at. I'm going to ask both of you guys a question though. What did you think of the 3-hole aggregate playoff? Shu, since I can see you right there. What did you think of the 3-hole playoff as opposed to sudden death?
I prefer those types of formats because I think it's fun to see the strategy play out of it's not just one hole. Okay, I've won the first hole. I have a one-shot lead. I now have two more holes to figure out how I'm going to manage this one-shot lead. And you may hit a different shot now, or you may take a different approach, or depending on the way the other person hits their tee shot, you change your strategy. I like that approach just because I think it's fun to add that strategic element. Whereas if it's a one-hole playoff and one guy hits it in the water off the first tee box, it's like, okay, it's kind of all she wrote here. Just put one out there and everything's done. I like to build the drama, and I think the aggregate format does that. I mean, one of the greatest, sports stories in golf history is Tiger winning that U.S. Open on one knee, and that had a whole extra round. They played a whole 18 the next day. So I'm a fan of all that kind of stuff. I think adding that strategic element is fun.
Bernie, what was your thoughts?
So two things. One, I couldn't wait for the LIV tour to come out with their players. I waited for that. I was excited for that. I was very disappointed when they didn't come out with that. As far as the aggregate deal, I'd forgot about it. And I watched the first playoff hole and I'm like, wait, what the hell's I totally, because I have a day job that I make more money doing that than I do doing this. And sometimes I'm in and out of watching golf and I totally forgot about it for some reason. And I spaced it off and I'm like, what's going on here? And then I realized, oh yeah, it's 3 holes. I like it because it's different. And you know me, Dahlby, I like stuff that's different. When Shu talks about Tiger beating Rocco Mediate at Torrey Pines in the U.S. Open that year, that was the U.S. Open, and the PGA's. You look back when Tiger beat Bob May, and Bob May's always going to be the guy that lost to Tiger Woods. I like it. I'm okay with that. But I just honestly, and as big as a golf fan I am, I totally forgot that 3 holes was going to happen because I wasn't watching it step by step until we got to 18.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then on a side note, you mentioned Bob May. I was just scrolling through, and there's so much golf going on right now. As we talk tonight on a Monday night on Memorial Day evening, the NCAA.
God bless America, and to everybody that has ever been, and I know this is going to make you emotional, anybody that's ever been former or active military, thank you very much for everything you've ever done for us.
Yeah, no, and there's no question about that. And it's a day of respect and honor. And but when we talk about, well, they were playing golf today at Greyhawk. They were setting up the match play for the men's side of NCAAs. And so we've got that going on. We've got US Open final qualifying going on. It used to be called sectionals. Now it's finals. They actually played in Dallas Monday. Next Monday is Big Monday, where you're going to have qualifiers all over the nation and guys getting into the US Open. But with regards to Bob May, there's US Senior Open qualifying going on. And I noticed that Bob qualified for the US Senior Open, I believe, in California. So, you talk about kind of his fame, and it's it's an interesting story because his greatest moment was being runner up. He lost a 3-hole playoff to Tiger, but he's going to play in the US Senior Open. So congratulations to Bob. I know Bob, he's up in Las Vegas. He's a buddy of our friend Cliff Vanetti. And so it's always fun to see, but lots of golf going on right now. We're kind of in the heart of the season. So, there's just so much going on. And maybe for me, Bernie, there is so much else going on. I haven't really thought of Greg Norman and Phil Mickelson very much lately. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, and for me, I kind of, I put that one to rest. I was more, especially in Tulsa, obviously, I'm there for work. I was very interested as a a fan to see how Tiger fared. And I picked Tiger, and I didn't pick him just because he was in the tournament. I wanted to see how he was. And unfortunately for Tiger, I think there were two things that happened. He had a good Monday. Tuesday was a light day. I actually talked to his caddy on Tuesday and said, "How's he doing?" He said he looks good, feeling good. Wednesday didn't go well, and then it got cold. So unfortunately, Tiger, he made the cut, played the third round, and then things didn't go well. So we hope that he gets better and continues to progress. I do think there were good signs from Tiger, and we'll see as the season moves on how he does.
All right, so Dahlby, you talk to the caddy. You ever talk to Tiger? Has Tiger ever said hi to you? Hi, Dahlby. How you doing, bud? What's going on? How are the kids? How's the wife? I know your wife broke her foot. Has he ever said anything like that to you?
No, you know what? I've been around Tiger a couple times. He and Sean O'Hare used to be pretty close. There was a time when they were very close. I was at the Masters a few years ago with Sean, and they were playing a practice round together. At Augusta, the coaches don't get to go on the golf course though during a practice round.
Oh.
So I was with Sean on the range. I was with Sean and Tiger on the practice green, but not a lot of conversation. The thing that was funny on Saturday, Troy was playing. Actually, it was Tiger was playing a group in front of Troy Saturday morning, and we came out to warm up, and we were on the putting green, and I had been out on the green with Troy, and you've seen it before where I kind of watch Troy, how he's doing, and then I'll kind of leave him alone. And I walked over to Troy's bag, and I was just kind of standing there, just kind of minding my own business. And I look over, and Tiger and his caddy are like coming right at us, which was kind of right at me. It was kind of weird because there was lots of room, but they planted the bag. LaCava planted the bag right next to Troy's. And so I was standing right there. I said hi. There was just a brief kind of hi to Joe and a nod, and that was about it. But it wasn't, it wasn't time for a conversation. And Tiger does have a very serious look on his face. I don't know him. I don't know him to socially say hello. So I certainly just kind of let him do his thing. But it was, I guess, Golf Channel and ESPN were on him, and I had got a couple texts from friends. You were standing next to Tiger. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, fine. I was standing next to Tiger. I don't really care. I was just hoping Troy was going to shoot 65 that day.
So let's talk about this week. Colonial just finished. Sam Burns and Scotty Scheffler, I guess, are best friends. I've never seen anything like that. In a playoff where, and a lot of people don't know this, but Scheffler didn't want a playoff. I don't know if he really cared about winning the tournament, to be honest with you. He had to go to a wedding, and Sam Burns makes the bomb in the playoff, and all of a sudden Scotty Scheffler gets in a car and has to drive to a wedding. I get it. They're great friends. And it was just really weird when Burns made the putt that Scheffler took the butt of his putter and hit him on the ass. It's like, hey, great job. You're out there a lot. You're out there more than anybody that I know. Is it like that? I mean, Scheffler's on this fucking heater right now. That's stupid. It's stupid right now. The heater he's on. He thinks he can beat the world, and he can beat the world. It looked like to me like, okay, hey, you won it, Sam, you won it. Congratulations. I'm going to miss this putt and get out of here. Are they that close? Or, is that how it works out there now?
Well, I don't think it usually works that way. I think when it's your friend, it is a different situation. I think it's just, if it was Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth playing against each other, maybe the same. It's awkward in a way.
Yeah,
because
it
you're
is.
so, you're so close. And, I didn't know about the wedding. Was the wedding in Fort Worth? Where was the wedding? Or did he have to
It
get on a
was
plane?
no, he had to drive. It was like 70 miles for his sister.
Okay.
First of all, who has a wedding on a Sunday? But I mean, my wife Ellie and I got married on a Friday, so I get it. But it was just like, it
No, no,
was
no.
just
Hold on. You can't have a wedding on a Sunday if your brother is a professional golfer. You just can't do it. You gotta understand. You just gotta pick another day.
You
You just
schedule
can't do-
appropriately.
You schedule like my best friend is getting married during football season, and you guys know that in the other job I work for a football media company. Guy schedules a wedding during the football season. Now we're just friends, and I'm in the wedding. But like, come on, you don't do this. You don't schedule weddings around these important things. And when this is family. Your brother is a professional golfer. By the way, he's on a heater right now. Guy
Right.
can't lose. There's a good chance he's going to be there on Sunday. So what you do is, I don't know, you move the wedding back a little bit, or you push it a couple of hours behind. It's just poor
Okay.
planning. I want to speak to
Okay.
the wedding planner. That's who I want
okay.
to speak
Okay, so let's go with this real quick before we get to something else. So 8.5 years ago, my wife and I got married. Okay. And I told her pick any, and I think I've maybe said this on the show before. If I have and I repeat it, then I'm sorry. She calls me one day and says, "Hey," well, I told her, hold on. I told her, first of all, you can't get married during Masters week, period. She's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." She has, no idea about golf back then. Now she does. And she calls me up one day at my day job and she says, "Hey, we're getting married Saturday, April 3rd. I said, "All right, that's fine." And I'm like, we hang up the phone, I'm like, "Wait, what? No." So I call her back up. I said, "No, that's Masters week. Half the people that are coming to our wedding are golf fans. We're not getting married on Masters Saturday. It ain't happening." And she drops the "fuck you, Bernie," and hangs up on me. We got married on a Friday night at Paradise Valley Country Club 8.5 years ago. But yeah, she was adamant. And I'm like, "No, not going to happen," because half the people or 3/4 of the people were golf fans. And I wasn't, I'm not missing, I love her to death, but I wasn't missing Masters Saturday to get married. And if she hears
Now,
this, go ahead.
Now,
Go
I
ahead.
will come to the
I
defense.
said it. I completely, I said it, and I'll take full responsibility for what I just said.
I will come to the defense of Scotty's sister here in this scenario. This is all above board if she told him, "Hey, it's cool if you're late." If she gave him the all clear to be like, "If you're late because you're winning a tournament, you're good," then we're fine. Then no harm, no foul. But he's rushing out of there like he's got to get somewhere to be there at a certain time, and
Yeah.
it feels like there could have been some better communication here.
Well, he made $1 million, so he probably paid for the whole wedding anyway. But
Well, thank God the playoff didn't go 9 holes. Then it could have been, just family drama.
oh, it'd have been everybody would have been kicked out of the family. Yeah. All right, Dahlby. This week's memorial. I know you've been there before. Troy's there this week. Are the milkshakes that good?
So the thing about I have been there. I have not had a milkshake no, I haven't had a milkshake at Muirfield Village because now I have been in the locker room. I don't know why I haven't had a milkshake, but I haven't had a milkshake. I hear they're unbelievable. The one thing I will say though is during the during the tournament too, but during the practice rounds, when you play the 9th hole, you usually take a little break after 9 if you're playing the full 18 on Tuesday, because there's a little hut to the right of the green, and the cheeseburgers there are unbelievable. They're really, they're on the grill doing the thing, and so you stop and have lunch and then go play your next 9 if you're playing an 18-hole practice round, and then I'll go grab one during the tournament because they are that good. Have you ever played Olympic Club in San Francisco?
I was going to say, hold on. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Why are you smarter than I am?
Yeah.
I was going to say, have you ever played the Olympic Club and had the hot dog, or it's a hamburger hot dog sandwich or whatever they have at
So
Olympic
good,
Club.
so good. They're very, and at Muirfield Village, it is a regular hamburger bun, but like Olympic Club, they're that good. They're that good. So yep.
So rain this week on Tuesday and Wednesday at Muirfield. Thursday should be okay. Friday's okay. Saturday's okay. Sunday could be weather. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are shit rain. Why? I guess I'll ask this, and you're not going to be able to answer it, but maybe you can give me your opinion. Why do they always schedule these same events every single year during when it's going to rain?
Yeah, and I think that and we'll have to go back and look at the schedule, but didn't this tournament actually finish on Memorial Day on Monday? Did they play it a couple years where they actually did that? So I think that was the original, Memorial tournament finishing on a Monday. And then as the PGA Tour schedule expanded, it actually got pushed a week. My wife asked, why don't they play the Memorial on, Memorial weekend,
I agree with Amy.
Yeah. And then you do have US Open qualifying, a week from today, and there's a big one in Columbus, probably the biggest one, the biggest field, where they play two golf courses in Columbus. And then there's a spillover in Springfield, Ohio, which is about an hour and a half away. There's another site there where they'll have 60 some players for probably 5 or 6 spots. That's where Troy goes. And so, you've got a lot going on, but you just, though, as the PGA Tour starts the schedule, even like last week 2 weeks ago in Tulsa, you're starting to get into the situation where you're going to have rain delays, and it's just part of playing in the Midwest and the East in the summer. You're going to have more delays. It's just part of the schedule. And these guys are very used to it. That's what they do. So, if they have to stay an extra day, they'll stay an extra day. And if they have to push US Open qualifying to Tuesday, they'll do that. And the guys, that doesn't bother them too much.
If you're outside the top 125 right now, is it panic time, or do we have a few more weeks before we really start to panic? And from your perspective, being out there so much, the guys that are outside the 125, or I'll at least even give the number 100. Is it time to put pressure on yourself to be able to keep your tour card, or we're getting to the point, Dahlby, that we got 10 events left, 11 events left, or whatever it might be. Is it time to panic and start trying to make cuts instead of trying to win golf tournaments right now to keep your card?
Well, I think if you're in that situation where you are trying to get into the 125 and you are in that sort of 100 to, let's say, 100 or worse, I think you've got to start thinking about, I've got to do something here. If you're on the Corn Ferry Tour and things are going pretty well, maybe do you stay on the Corn Ferry, or do you jump back if you have the chance to play? There's a lot of decisions that have to be made in the next couple months. I would say this week, I was very interested yesterday to see how Brendan Todd played, because he had won a couple tournaments a few years ago. This year is the year where he's passed his champions exemption, so he's got to be in the 125. And I don't know exactly, but I know he's been,
he's fine.
Well,
he's fine.
After this week, he's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm saying before this last week, he was in that 100, 101 range on the FedEx, and you start thinking about things. I was really watching him to see how things went, and I think he ended up third. So that's what, 200 points, 250 points. So that's probably with the points he has now. Like you said, he's in a very good position, and it all can change. It all can change in 1 week. And so that's the one thing. There are guys that play a little bit better in the summer than they do in the spring or the winter. So, but you hate to be that guy. Scott Piercy comes to mind, who plays, I've talked to his caddy, and the guys like, we always do it in the summer. Well, that's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of stress if you're trying to do it when you're going to Reno in August or in July. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stress coming up, and I think that's what really gets interesting here as we kind of get into the next couple months.
Brennan Todd, good dude.
Yeah, good guy, and had struggled a little bit. Well, that struggled, good player, struggled mightily.
Lost it.
Kind of readjusted his mindset and caught fire. And then the last year or so, I would say, has been a little bit flat. And so it was nice to see him play. He's a quiet guy, but he's a nice guy.
So before we change to who you got, you talked about going back and forth. O'Hare, a guy that you've worked with before, don't know really if you're working with him right now. I know you talked to him a lot. Is he a guy that's going to be sticking to the Corn Ferry Tour? Is he going to zigzag back and forth? He gets in Reno, he gets in the Barbasol. What is his mindset?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I have been talking to Sean a lot lately. And so there was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, he's like, I'm just sticking to Corn Ferry. And he had a good week on the Corn Ferry. The last couple of weeks haven't gone great. And I asked him the other day, because, he said, hey, when are you coming out, or what's your schedule like? And I said, well, I'm going to go, hopefully I'm going to Boston for the US Open. I've got a couple guys that are playing in the final qualifying. So hopefully they get, both of them get through, and that'd be great. If not, it's either, for me, it's either Boston or Hartford, and then it'll be Minneapolis for the 3M in July. And so it sounds like right now Sean is kind of thinking about, bouncing back and forth. And it's hard. It's hard when you're on the Corn Ferry. It's hard when you're on the Corn Ferry and you have the opportunity to play in a PGA Tour event. It's hard to give that up, even if it is, Lexington, Kentucky for the Barbasol, or Truckee, California for the Reno. Even though we call it Reno, it's now in Truckee. It's a tough one. Last year, Taylor Montgomery, who we've talked about a lot, had the opportunity to play in the U.S. Open, and he chose to play in the U.S. Open, and probably he made the cut in the U.S. Open. He played okay. He didn't get any Corn Ferry points though, playing in the U.S. Open, and he missed his card in two different fashions. Might have been better for him to stay on the Corn Ferry, but it's hard to give up a major championship for a Corn Ferry event. So these guys have a lot of decisions to make.
And I've looked at numbers, and I think Sean is guaranteed final status at Corn Ferry Tour no matter what happens, from where he's at right now on the Corn Ferry Tour. I think he's 53rd or 54, whatever he might be. I know he only needs probably, God almighty, I think he only needs to make a cut and finish in the top 60th to get in the same position. So I get it. I get what you're saying. You're used to being a top 10 player in the world, playing on the PGA Tour, and now you have to play on the Corn Ferry Tour. I know it's a step down. I get it. From a fan perspective, because I've met Sean. I'm really good friends with you. I know Sean, his status. I hope that he plays the Corn Ferry Tour, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's the type of guy that's gonna bounce back and play in Truckee, play in Kentucky, and figure it out when it's all said and done.
Well, and the thing for him, he has won 4 times on the PGA Tour.
Right.
He's won the John Deere. More than likely, he'll get an invitation as a former champion to play in the John Deere. Well, that's a nice tournament now. There's more points. There's more. It's not a lower level tournament. And then he won the Canadian Open. Well, what if as a former champion, he gets invited to play in Canada's national championship? That again is a tough one to give up. So he's got some thinking to do, and I don't know what the right decision is. But the thing that I think I've been telling him is good golf, regardless of where you're playing. Good golf is going to just fix things. If you play well, you're going to be fine no matter what you do. And so hopefully that's the case. Hopefully he has a good summer and plays his best golf in the summer, which has sometimes been the case. And then he works his way back onto the regular tour. It's a tough thing. It's the talent level is so deep and it's so close that you do see guys that you think, God, they probably, why are they not playing the regular tour? Why are they on the Corn Ferry? But then you look at young kids on the Corn Ferry tour and they're really, really good. And that's where, if you go to Greyhawk this week and watch the NCAAs, you're going to see some of those young kids that are really, really good. That's their next step. And then their next step is to, some of them are going to be, maybe there's a Scotty Scheffler playing at Greyhawk tomorrow.
Ben On plays on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that Ben On. Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's time for our weekly second of Who You Got? Sponsored by good friends of Burrito Express. And before you came on tonight, Dahlby, on this Zoom thing, I had fixed the scoreboard. It's now been fixed again because I got called out by Shu. Because for some reason,
no,
let me finish.
No, because you're making it seem like I called you out over something that was improper. I just pointed out that you were wrong.
Correct. I was wrong.
Don't paint me as the bad guy here. You're the bad guy in this story.
I was wrong. I had thought that I had Spieth in the PGA, which I did. I knew that Dahlby had Tiger. And for some reason, I don't know what it was, I thought you had Scotty Scheffler. But I went back and listened to the show after you said, wait, what? And I have fixed the points. In fact, the points aren't probably really correct because it was a major last week. This is the updated version right here of just 1 point, 2 point, 3 points, where you actually should have got 6. I should have got 4 and Dahlby got 2 because his guy quit. So this will be re-updated. I mean, the sign company doesn't work on Memorial Day. Well, nobody works on Memorial Day except for me and nobody else. So this will be updated, but Shu, you have a bigger lead right now than what you think. So going into the Memorial this week, it's your first pick for Who You Got?
Yeah, and I want to make it clear now, for the second time this season, I have picked the actual winner of the whole tournament. I got Sam Burns at the Valspar and now Justin Thomas at the PGA.
Mm-hmm.
I have both of those guys still in the bag, in my bag of players that I can pick from if I want to. We do have a problem though, because I was going to pick a player that I already picked, and I'm doing the Dahlby. I never do the Dahlby. I'm researching in real time.
Does anybody what is it? Is the Dahlby like a dance? It's like the waltz or something like that. I mean, what do you just dance around things? I mean, what is the Dahlby?
The Dahlby is that you don't have a pick readily available, and so you filibuster by just talking out nonsense until you get to the point where you have a player that you want to pick, and then you pick that player.
It'd be like you talking right now. It'd be like you talking about the Mets.
That's right. I would use this opportunity to remind you that your Phillies lost to the Mets over the weekend.
Yeah, okay,
not a Ranger
fine.
guy. That's fine.
Right.
I was going to take, and I can't.
If you take my guy, if you take my guy, I'm going to get pissed because I've only have one guy written down because I thought I had the first pick.
So if we remember, there was a stretch in which I couldn't buy a point to save my life. I had Kisner at the Masters, Morikawa and Victor Hovland at the Zurich, but in between those at the Heritage, I took a guy. His name's Matt Fitzpatrick. That's the guy I wanted to take this time, but I look at my list, I can't take him. So I have to go back to the drawing board. I have to pick somebody else. This is a big name to use here. And history says that this is probably a bad idea. He won the tournament 2 years ago, was leading after 54 holes last year, was told, you have COVID-19, you're out of here. You're not allowed.
You're taking Rahm. You're taking Rahm.
I am taking John Rahm. That is my selection this week.
All right. I thought about taking Rahm. I don't think I can take him though. Okay, so I'm in this familiar gambling funk of mine right now. Points, as you say, Shoe.
Points.
Dahlby doesn't care. I keep taking guys that have hometown, and I've lost good money in the last couple weeks. I don't even know if I can go on my
Points.
family trip.
Points.
Yeah, points. I don't know, go my family trip this year.
What, are we talking 5 points, 10 points,
You know what? Sometimes it's more
15
than 5.
15 points?
It could be 90 points, 150 points. It
Okay.
doesn't matter. Last week, I thought, Ryan Palmer finally has to show up for me at Colonial since it's his home golf course. But no, don't worry. He shit the bed too. We've had him on our show before. But I'm going with a guy that's a member at Muirfield. I'm going with a guy that's a member at Muirfield. And sometime he has to come through. Give me Jason Day.
Bernie, it is allergy season in the Midwest, though. So
Oh,
you
shit.
just never know.
Here we go. With the
You get the
excuses.
sneezes. Or
Yeah.
something
All right.
happens. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Weird
Yeah.
stuff. As Shu was filibustering, thank you for that, because I was going through my
Yeah.
field and I was going to pick John Rahm, but he's now been picked. So I'm going to take Hideki Matsuyama.
He's won there before, hasn't he?
I hope so. And I hope he wins again.
All right. Okay. So you have Matsuyama, I have Day, and he has what I call the defending champion in Rahm. So real quick, before we get out of here, Steve, year ago today, or a year ago last week, whatever, when they took Rahm off the golf course after the third round and they said you tested positive, was that the right thing to do? Should they have done it earlier? Should they have not done it in front of all the crowd?
I think both. I think we talked about this a year ago, that it was, I felt like they, once they knew, as soon as they knew, go get him. And then certainly not to do it with, on the, with the kind of the spectacle they did. So yeah, I would have said both.
Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, time to get out of here. I think that I'm going to be a Hideki fan, and we'll see who you got comes out. I've got to make a move in these points. So it's time to start my run.
Shu, thank you, bud. Thanks for staying up late. Dahlby, thanks for staying up late. I'm just going to tell you right now, we'll all have an update on this book next week.
All right, yeah,
I'm reading the whole thing. All right, Dahlby, Shu, have a good week. We'll see you guys next week, everybody.
Hit them straight, everybody.